Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to introduce Debbie Martinez to you all today. She is such a wonderful friend of mine from back in the day, and I'm so glad to reconnect with her and have this conversation about her journey, telling us about her career in healthcare. And so I will let her tell us a little bit more about herself.
Hi there, I'm Debbie Martinez. I am from Garcia, Colorado. My parents are Danny Martinez and Viola Gonzalez. I moved to Garcia when I was probably in second grade, but started school in Centennial where I was in third grade. We met Kim. We went to school together and graduated at Centennial High School in 1993.
Don't tell everybody.
I know.
I know. Secret.
Oops. So, yeah, after that, I decided, before that, I guess I could say, didn't know what I wanted to be. Everybody in my family was military. Everybody, every single person. And I actually, when we were in high school, I had a brother that was in Desert Storm. And so in my mind, that's where I was going. You know, I had it probably, stuck in my mind, that's probably what I was going to do. But I had a conversation with my brother-in-law's sister, Yolanda. And, you always get, what are you going to be when you grow up? Or what do you want to do? And I was like, well, I want to serve others. I have this long generation of people that are in the military. And to me, that was what it was, serving others and, being part of that. And she was like, there's other ways to serve others. There's multiple things that you can do to serve others. And she was a nurse. And she said, have you ever thought of nursing? And I'm like, yeah, but through the military? And she was like, well, you could do it that way, or there's other ways that you can do it. And so I think it was her junior year, the vocational school was offering a CNA class that they brought it to Centennial. And it was a 6-month class. And I believe one of our classmates took it with me. And so we graduated and I was like, okay, well, I did this. I passed. It wasn't too hard. Well, maybe nursing is the way to go.
I don't remember that class. That's interesting that you say that.
Yeah. So I applied for, come senior year, I applied for a bunch of scholarships, and I was like, okay, well, what schools offer nursing? You start looking into schools, and so I ended up at the University of Northern Colorado in Greeley, and ended up with a scholarship. Did my prerequisites. And at that time, nursing was huge. A lot of people were going into it. They still are. But so did my prerequisites, and now it was time to apply. Well, there is 300, maybe more people applying for a 45 person slot. And even if you get picked, you still have about 2 or 3 years to wait.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why is that? What's the time frame for?
Because they have that many people going into prerequisites that they can't get that many people through.
So it's the wait list.
Yep, it's a wait list. So I was on a wait list, did my prerequisites, and I'm like, okay, now I have to wait two years. This is kind of crazy. So my sister was like, well, there has to be other schools, move, go somewhere. So I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to move too far from family. And she was like, well, why don't you come back to New Mexico? And I'm like, out of that. So I looked into it, and New Mexico they didn't have a waiting list. You had to apply. I lost prerequisites applying. So I had to do some of them again. But anyways, long story short, I reapplied. I, started back doing the prerequisites and found my husband. And then that like put a halt to it because we ended up having a baby. And so I, stopped that. And then I was like, okay, well, now we have a baby. Now I need to go back to school. So went back to school, and another obstacle came. My mother-in-law, which is one of my best friends, got diagnosed with brain cancer. So, I'm like, okay, I got into nursing school, and we had to go to MD Anderson in Texas for her chemotherapy. And I was like, I can't do this now. I can't, raise a family. At that point, we had 2 kids. And my mother-in-law was like, why not? You tell me why you can't. And I didn't have an answer for her. So I was like, okay. She was like, you have to have the ganas. You have to have the will, and you have to have the ganas. And I'm like, okay, I have it. My family thinks I could do it. You know what? I have to think and believe I could do it. Yeah. So I did it. Finished, and in 2003 became a nurse. So 17 years I've been a nurse. Finished with a bachelor's, and so I've been I was an ICU nurse in Taos for a while, and we decided to uproot and come to Denver because just more opportunity for family. And so we moved to Denver. I worked at the pediatric clinic. I did float pool. I've done, my resume is pretty packed. So I've worked for National Jewish, and I've worked lots of different jobs. But I got into case management along the way. And so I currently work as a case manager for special needs kids. I have ventilator kids. I have kids that they're adults, but developmentally delayed. And I get them through a program that is offered through the state. Colorado is the only state that offers. It's called a parent CNA program, and so they offer their parents to take care of their special needs kids, to stay home with them and get paid to take care of them. And so, I feel privileged and honored to be able to, navigate people, to this program. So.
Oh, that's wonderful. I love that. It's being in that situation, I can imagine just how difficult that could be to try to figure out how to navigate working and being home and caring for your family at the same time. I think right now in the situation we're all in, people are thinking about that and wondering how they're going to send their kids to school, if they're going to send their kids to school, if they're going to keep them home, and if they do, how are they going to work at the same time? So I know this is a different situation, but to be able to have that option, I think it's a huge relief for so many people and such a blessing. So that's so cool that you're a part of that. And I have to say, I'm so proud of you. My goodness, I haven't talked to you in so long, and it's so amazing to catch up with somebody that you went to school with and just hear all the wonderful things that you're doing, just all the stuff you talked about that's on your resume. I want to hear more about it. Because we did cheerleading together. We fundraised for our senior class together for so many years, and we had a blast doing all that. I think our class was very unique, and maybe not so unique at Centennial, I don't know, but we were super close because we went to school for so long together, and our senior trip was so much fun. I think we played volleyball together too, didn't we? Yeah, yep. So just all the stuff that we did, and to catch up all these years later and to see all the stuff you've done is just awesome. So wonderful. So congratulations on all of that. Yeah. And tell me a little bit more about that resume. What else have you done?
Well, I think the biggest thing is case management. I really feel like people aren't directed to opportunities or community resources. They're out there. And I think a lot of doctors, they have that 15-minute or 30-minute window, and that they don't, and some of them don't know about it. Even, the program I help with, most of our referrals don't come from doctors, unfortunately, because I think a lot of them come from physical therapists that know about the program, or occupational therapists. And so it's actually, like I said, other states are looking at modeling after Colorado. People are moving to Colorado because of this program. The biggest thing is helping, sitting with people and letting them know that, their lives and what's going on in their little world, matters to me, and how can I help you? It makes a difference, having that mom say, well, I can't bring my son in to the bathtub unless I have two people carry him in, my husband, can't come in to, to the room with my son. We have to carry him in, and just these stories are just, to be able to say, okay, well, how can I impact your world? What can I do to make a difference? So, getting them resources, or getting them, point of contact people that, so that way they can have their bathroom renovated. So that way they, everybody is in the same room and can eat at the table together. Things like that make a difference. I think, just, being that person to say, let's change things.
I love that, and I think that you are making such a world of difference for these people, and I'm sure they just appreciate every little bit of things that you do for them. So thank you for that. That's so cool. And you talked a little bit already about an obstacle that you went through. So what was that like, going through school as a mom, and while you were caring for your mother-in-law? I know, she said you have to have the ganas, and I love that so much, because that is huge, and that's what sort of gives us, that momentum and propels us forward. So what else was, what else helped you through?
I will tell you, I think if I would have gotten into the program at UNC, I'm not sure if I would have made it, to be honest. So long story short, I started out, or we start in a program of 45. When I graduated, there was 9 people that graduated in my class.
Oh my gosh.
They weed you out. You have a C or less, you're done. No, there is no C when you're in the nursing program. So I graduated with a class of 9, went from 45. Yeah. So, my family was, God puts things in your path, or gives you direction for a reason. And so, that, it just propelled me in the direction, and I'm like, I can't quit it now. I have these, these kids to look after, and, I need to do better for them. So, it might've been an obstacle, but looking at it now, it wasn't. It was a different path.
A different path, yeah. Yeah, and having young babies at the time, while you're trying to study, and, the needing that support, I think is...
Yeah, put everybody to bed, and then you turn on the little night light, and you stay there studying at the table.
Yeah.
But like I said, it might have been an obstacle, but actually, it was just a different path that I took. So
it's what you do. I mean, when I wrote my book, when you say that you put everybody to bed and then you turn on your light, it's exactly what I did. I was working after everybody went to bed. I was working before everybody woke up. I was working while kids were at school, and I couldn't stop. There were times where I had to have a notepad on the side of my bed, because I'd dream scenes. And so I had to get up and write them down, or else I'd forget them in the morning. So yeah, it was a lot of that. And at the time, I don't know about you, but I think if it's something that you love and it's your calling, you know, you talk about God putting things in your path, it doesn't feel like work. It's actually like inspiring, and it, for me anyway, it gave me energy, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I was, I like, you know, quotes or sayings. And so I always, you know, put, you know, that quote that says, you know, if you find something that you enjoy, you never work a day in your life.
Exactly.
So true. So true. You know, so if you find, you know, your calling or, you know, whatever makes your heart happy, it's not going to feel like work.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I love that saying too. Yeah. So I guess my last question is just, you know, wanting to get your opinion, your advice, or whatever it is you want to share about this whole COVID situation and your expertise, and just, you know, tell me what you think about all of this, and, you know, what should we be doing? Like, should I continue to disinfect my mail every time I bring it in the house, and all that kind of stuff? Because I think it's different for everybody, you know, or it has been, from what I understand.
And I think every situation is different. And so I told Kim I was gonna try not to cry on this.
It made me cry.
So I'd been hit hard by COVID. So another story. So in March, my mom came back from a trip and called me. I mean, she had cough, you know, and at that time it was March, and, you know, that's when we were first hearing about it, and, you know, it was barely hitting here. A few days, you know, cough got worse, and one of the mornings she called, and she, you know, she had already talked to her doctor, and the doctor had sent cough medicine to the pharmacy. She went and picked it up, and she was taking it, and she was sleeping, and she was coughing, and anyways, she called, and that morning she had my sister on the phone with me. We were on three-way, and I was like, what's going on? And my mom was like, I really couldn't breathe last night. I had to sit on pillows. So of course my nursing mind, you know, starts going, and I'm like, okay, tell me more about that, and asking her a bunch of questions. And I'm like, oh, do you want me to call the ambulance for you? You know, because my mom couldn't go through a full sentence without gasping. And I, you know, knowing, you know, as much as I do, I'm like, I think I need to get off the phone and call the ambulance. And she's like, no, let's call, you know. I'm like, okay, at least let's call your doctor. So my sister kept her on the phone. I called the doctor, and I was explaining to the doctor, and she was like, I want your mom to be seen. And I said, okay, well, I'll send her, you know. So I'm like, okay, Mom, can you drive? And of course my mom's like, yeah, I can drive. I'm good. I'm fine. So my mom drove herself to the hospital and does not remember getting off the car. I have actually one of my classmates from nursing school is a director at a hospital. She's a ICU director, and I called her and I said, my mom's on her way, and you know, she's going to be in the emergency room. Can you please just check on her, you know? So I got a phone call. A couple, you know, I hadn't heard from my mom. So I thought, well, they're just probably still checking her in. She's probably still there. And I got a phone call from my friend. And my mom was on a ventilator already. So 3 o'clock, my mom, you know, she probably got there at 9 o'clock. By 3 o'clock, my mom was on a ventilator. My mom stayed on a ventilator 26 days. And there was multiple times that I got a phone call at 3 a.m. saying, you know, she's not going to make it through the night. She's not going to make it through, you know. They were amazing at the hospital. They had a few cases, not very many. My mom was probably one of the first. And luckily, my mom didn't have any other conditions. And so that was huge on her side. but anyways, 26 days on a vent, and had, like I said, those phone calls saying she's not going to make it. Can we take her off? And I pushed and said, you know, she's still fighting it. Let her fight. And so she was able to get off, and then I had to push again to be able to bring her home. So I brought her home, and at that point, I had my daughter with me, which I have a daughter that has an autoimmune disorder. So the doctors, I had to call everybody and say, okay, now I have a patient that I'm bringing home that has, you know, COVID, and my daughter can get COVID, you know, and my, you know, she can't fight it. So I had to send my daughter with my family in New Mexico for some time to be able to care for my mom, and, you know, so that way my daughter wouldn't get it, or my granddaughter. And so my mom had to learn to walk again. My mom was on 4 liters of oxygen. She couldn't turn herself. She couldn't get up to the bathroom. She couldn't do anything. Didn't have the strength to pull the spoon to her mouth. So case management kicked in again, and, you know, I called for resources, and, you know, called the doctor and said, I want this, and you know, they got the resources in. And so we had an appointment last week, and my mom has 60% of her lung function back. She's using oxygen at night. She's walking on her own. And I have 4 generations of family in my household, because, yep, strong women. Yes. And so, you know, we're doing it. So COVID, yeah, you know, hits home hard. What should we do? I think the biggest thing is learn about it, and not just Facebook. Please, not Facebook. I'm not saying it's, you know, there's good, you know, Facebook things out there, but you need to get on the CDC website, WHO, which is World Health Organization, and get your information from there. You know, knowledge is key for anything. Knowledge is key, and learn. So like I said, different scenarios, you have to do different things.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's emotional for me too. Your mom was like a mom to all of us in that senior class. She was our advisor, one of our advisors. And so just hearing your story, I think, is so powerful. And I'm just so grateful that she's fighting, because she's a strong lady. She always has been. She fought for us with, you know, trying to get different types of fundraisers going when we were in school. And so I know she's a strong person, and I'm just very glad that she's past it and moving toward, you know, more healing and more recovery every day. And so please give her a big hug for me.
Yeah, she's, you know, she'll let you know. She was like, it was, you know, not just the will to live, but the power of prayer. It's huge. Absolutely. So it's big. So now, you know, when we were growing up, it was, I had my, you know, opportunity to learn Spanish from our grandparents, you know, and here we are, you know, another generation forward, and my grandbaby is learning, you know, Spanish from my mom.
Love it. And
yeah, so it's, you know, like I said, it's just, you know, God puts things out there and you can't question. So you just need to say, okay, let's do this.
Yeah. Wow, what an amazing story. Thank you so much for sharing it. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, it's something that's out there. I think that, you know, like I said, you just have to learn what you need to do for you and your family, and you know, just learn as much as you can about it.
Take it seriously, do what you can, be educated about it. Yeah.
Educated. So
don't live in fear, I guess, is the biggest thing. Just
that's the thing. You know, now when I took my mom back to the pulmonologist, I'm like, now what? You know, what's in her path now? Mm-hmm. And he's, what your mom now has the, you know, the antibodies. And I'm like, okay, but how long do those antibodies work? And he's like, we don't know. He says, but she can't live in fear. And that's right, you can't. Just learn, you know, and you just take it as it comes. So.
Well, again, thank you so much for sharing that story. And I know a lot of people will be blessed by it because they know just, again, the strength of your mom and your family and how you've all pulled together to care for her and to be together. And it's just, like I said, it's a powerful story for people to hear because this thing is real. You know, we do need to be educated about it. We do need to, like I said, do what we can without living in fear. And so, again, I'm so grateful that you've done this interview with me and to catch up with you. It's so great to see you and hear about your family, and hope that we can stay in touch.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thanks, Kim.
Thank you, and you have a great day. Please give your mama a big hug for me.
I will. Thanks.
Thank you everybody for watching. This has been a La Gente Legacy production and successful in the SLV Healthcare series. Stay tuned for more.